man, we'll just dive straight in. Ricky, listen, thanks so much for taking the time to do this. I know you're incredibly busy at this point in time. First things first, man, been having a good day?
It's been good, mate. It's been good. It's all the better now. I like doing this type of stuff. Yeah, this is my third one I've done, and it's getting easier every time.
What, third one today or third one overall?
No, I think, I think I did one on Monday, and I think I did one on Tuesday or Wednesday, and then it's Thursday today.
Yeah.
This lockdown, man. I'm not going to use that as an excuse. I'm really bad with my dates and stuff anyway. But yeah, it's been great, mate. Thanks for asking. So I hope you have too.
Yeah, it's been cool, man. So you're not at that stage yet, at that stage where you're getting sick and tired of being asked the same questions over and over again about new albums and stuff.
No, I think my I don't know. I think my answers would change depending on the time of day and how I'm feeling and stuff like that as well. Like last night, we had a discussion 10:30 at night, so I was in chill mode and stuff like that. And it's midday, probably after this I'll be going to the gym, so I'm quite amped currently. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's great. Fire away with whatever you want, my dude.
No, that's cool. That's cool. Well, you talked about lockdowns and all that. The last year or so, how have you both personally and professionally been holding up?
It's been really hard, mate, but I'm very proud to be on this end, to be honest. I continued working. So I work in a tattoo company, and once this happened, similar to the music industry, we were done the dirty. Yeah. So yeah, we had to dive straight in and do everything that we could to survive the lockdown and stuff like that. By the time we got around to finishing this record, I think we were about December, January, and then once that Stripes finished, we're now here. Everything's starting to open up again. The album's coming out in 8 or 9 days or something. So yeah, we're at the finish line now. It feels good. It feels awesome, bro.
Oh, that's amazing. So tattoos, I mean, you as you said, you got done the dirty, but not only that as well. I mean, how did you manage to keep on working throughout when effectively tattooing was off the cards?
Well, I work in management and admin, so we had loads of stuff to catch up on. We had to build new websites and online stores and reschedule clients, and if clients wanted future sessions, if they wanted to be loyal to the company, would book them in and help them out with stuff like that. And then there's obviously online consultations to do, and then obviously jumping through all the hoops of everything you got to do, man. And then we had to revitalize all the studios and rebuild from the start. And as you can imagine, mate, it was non-stop. But now that we're here and we're operating again, it's great. It was worth the battle.
That's hilarious, man. The PR side of the ins and outs of tattooing. I have a ton of them myself, and I always go there and get tattooed and walk away.
Yeah, man. It keeps running behind closed doors non-stop, like all businesses, man. It's great.
So during this period, then during this the last year or so, what, if anything, has helped keep you in a positive mind frame? Has it been predominantly Osiah and the working on the album?
It's been the boys in general. If we hadn't done an album, it still would have been the same. I mean, we did, achieve something great. I believe we're very proud of this record. But I think even if it wasn't for that, we would have been together anyway. And as we talk every day anyway, we're best friends. So that's the one and only, man. It's for the lads.
How'd you guys handle being kind of forced apart then, as it were?
Mate, we're all ends of the country. It's even worse than you can imagine. Keeping the guitarists in London, drummers up in bloody Scotland. It's only me and Andrew who are quite local, Sunderland and Newcastle, about 30 minutes away from each other. But dude, man, we've operated like this for years anyway. We, touching back on Andy again, we started music together 18, 19 years ago, and back then it was sitting in practice rooms and being oh bro, I've got this riff, and then you play him the riff, and then he goes, oh, I've got this riff, and you play the riff back at each other, and then that's how you write songs. But nowadays it's just one guy at home writing everything and then sends it to someone, and then that's how we practice as well. That's how we operate. We've always been a kind of long distances band. Namely, it's been the drummer. We've never been able to find a local drummer, so we've always had to practice, like write and stuff from home regardless, you know. So the only thing that's a little bit different to this was just, I don't know, I guess the pressure that everyone felt at the same time, you know, with the pandemic and stuff like that. So yeah, we handled it like any other day. Any other day.
That's generally awesome. What advice then would you give, right? Say some, particularly as we're kind of at this light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, period in this country. What advice would you give, if any, to someone who might be struggling?
So for me personally, my thing that I learned was to manage my like expectations. And I think once you take yourself off a pedestal like that, and instead of being like, you know, could be quite easy for us to sit here and be like, we're going to write the best album ever, we're going to drop it, we're going to be the biggest deathcore band ever, we're going to tour the world, blah blah blah. And it's like, no, let's write a song first, and then write the next song, and then write the next song. I think, you know, society has so much pressure on being like, you need to be doing this time, you need to be at this age when you're doing this, you need to have you. And in reality, it should never be like that. It's all about the baby steps. And I think if you can be proud of each small step, you know, by the time you get to the big ones, you're ready for the pressure of it, you know, and you can fully embrace like how rewarding it is, if you catch my drift.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, of course, you mentioned as well, time of recording, slightly just over a week from the release. Incredibly, brutally, head smashing, gut churning. I got so many ways to describe this bloody album. It's lost. Where's your head at right now in regards that we're that close, or does it still feel far away for you?
It still feels a little far away, but we're like road hungry, if you know what I mean. Like we've done the whole, like, you know, releasing singles from home and then just trying to get, you know, people to listen to the song and stuff like that. And that format just doesn't work. You've got to get out and put the record in people's hands. So even though we've got a new record and we're incredibly excited about, we've got a great PR team, and the label Unique Leader is obviously amazing. They're doing everything they can. And I think all we got to do is manage our expectations and just be patient with it, and just, you know, be proud of every sale, every, you know, every mention, just bit by bit, my dude. And then, like I say, you know, it would be great to just come out the gates and do like a 8-week tour for the record, but it's not about that, you know what I mean? So we've got to learn the market, learn how we can, you know, and it's the same thing that we had to do with the tattoo company as well, you know, like running that business and stuff like that, learning how to cope with the hurdles we're being given. Andy in particular is taking up courses for like online marketing and stuff like that, and like how to enhance social media reach and stuff like that. So even while we're waiting for people to get us on the road, we'll still be working hard behind the scenes.
Absolutely. And there's been a year's worth of bands releasing music during this period and unable to go out and tour.
They're all so good as well. All so good as well. Like, it's, yeah, man.
That's something to learn from, right? I mean, at least you can kind of look and go, well, how did they handle it? Because the biggest bands are releasing albums, you know, your underground guys.
Yeah. Yeah, Humanity's Last Breath was one of the records that really hit me when it got released. And I could feel the darkness in it. And we'd already wrote like Lost by then, but, you know, hearing them construct that sound, and with what we've went through as well, it's kind of like, man, like maybe, you know, it's the artist in us, you know. We found a way to take all the pain and like the loss and all this stuff and just churn it into something creative. And that's all I hear from this modern music that's coming out like today. You know, it's like, I think we all have felt that loss. Just us and Devil Soul to Soul obviously took the market on getting that name on the record, but I think you can hear everyone has it. And as much as everything's been bad, I do feel like art gets a huge boost through like trouble. You know, like I remember during like the First and Second World War and stuff like that, music took this huge ramp up. You know, they were sending like musicians around the world to entertain soldiers and stuff like that. There was obviously people missing the families, and, you know, all they had was a musical outlet, and it's some of the best music ever written. Yeah. Like, and it still stands today. You know what I mean? Like, you can go into pubs and clubs and they'll be playing like, you know, 40s, 50s, and 60s tunes, and it still holds, man. It's beautiful, like pained music a lot of the time, or music that's forcing you to, just get up and dance, just to make the most of it. And both sides are represented on this album. We've got the songs where it's just like get the hands up and rock out, and there's other moments where it's just like, but at the same time, if you want to be sad, we were sad too, and we've got through it now. So let's keep pushing.
Yeah, I can confirm there are totally tracks on Lost that you can dance to. Absolutely.
Yes, man. It's unconventional dancing, but I'm sure people will find their own way to dance. So they always do. As long as they're not full in the arms, they can do whatever they want.
Do you guys then, do you feel like you constantly need to push yourselves to go and be more extreme? Because let's not beat around the bush here. Lost pushing quite hard.
No, it's probably just the opposite, man. Like, I think out of everything we've ever, I think this is the realest we've ever been. We haven't had any like inspiration for shock factor or any moments to be like, oh, we should change this so it's got this in it, or we should do this so it sounds better. Literally, my dude, like, Keeping and Andy wrote the instrumentals to send to us to do my vocal tracks on, and it was just like, yep. And that was it, just done in my hand, ready to do vocals. And I like to think that while I was penning my lyrics, I was, delving deep and going into, situations like that. And I know, they both had that too, but their voice is their instruments, and when you combine, obviously, the emotions that they went through musically with, the lyrical content that I went through, we just combined like that. There was never a moment where I was just like, we need to do this. This is literally the first record where it's just been like, right, let's go. And it's not been like, I mean, that's my opinion on it, because I only saw it from the vocalist perspective, but Keeping could have been at home tearing his hair out, like worrying about his quality of musicianship, etc., but he never gave that impression. So I'll speak as I find it, dude.
No, absolutely. And when you got that, you got those guitar tracks, and you heard the instruments and stuff like that, and you knew it was your turn to do your part. When you're listening to what they've done, is that kind of where your inspiration then comes from, or have you already got lyrics kind of worded out?
No, it's fully the energy of the song.
Oh, cool.
A perfect example of this would probably be I'm going to butcher the words, I apologize, but Stella et Audax. It's track 11 of the record. It means swift and bold in Latin. And it's dedicated to one of our friends who was in the Green Jackets who committed suicide. But when I first heard that song, it had like a pulse. It was like, and it felt like a march. So as soon as I heard that, my instinct was immediately to search for like some sort of like, the military thing of being like a marching band, or like just marching and treading on. And then just having that one little bit of emotion was just like, right, pen, let's go. And then I could just dive into my emotions with stuff like that, and then just send it to the lads. And most of the times they'd write music and they'd be like, I don't know what the hell this is going to sound like. I've got an image in my head of what I think you're going to do. But when I come back and go, no, bro, I'm writing this about this, and it means this. And, you gave me that energy to do this. It's, yeah, it's cool, man. It's a weird one to describe from the vocalist perspective, but, I do play like guitar a little bit myself and write music and stuff like that. And when I write music, even the guitar stuff and the soundscaping and stuff all has like a picture in my mind. You know what I mean? But someone in this process, it's like someone else has given me the picture and being like, right, color it in, and colors can change a million things, man. I mean, look at our album artwork. Like, imagine that in green. Yeah. It would be a totally different. It would be a totally different message we'd be sending. You know what I mean? But we went for purple.
Is it getting easier as you go on to kind of open up yourself when it comes to writing lyrics? Was it something you were very kind of nervous about, exposing yourself?
Oh, I think I suck at it, bro. Yeah. But I think all vocalists do. You know what I mean? Or at least, many do. Dude, by trade, I'm a guitarist, and this band has obviously given me many opportunities to do vocals and stuff like that. And a lot of people they've said like, man, he sings like he's a guitarist, because like some of the patterns I use and the flows I use just aren't like a traditional vocalist would. But I think it's just because I've had like, I don't know, 20 years of listening to Whitesnake and playing ballads on the guitar and stuff like that. But I think for this record, yeah, I'm going to be real about it, man. Like for this record, it's kind of like Unique Leader signed us, and they obviously did their job on Kingdom of Lies, and they did a great job. And sometimes when I doubt myself, I just think the label wants this, man. Like the label wants me to, they've supported like just me just speaking about who, so maybe I'm doing it right.
Yeah.
And I think during the lockdown, when that clicked, was a huge shift in me being like, right, I can be a little bit more emotional on some tracks now. And there's some really horrendously deep tracks on Loss. And they only came out when, I was at peace with, it's who I'm meant to be, man. I'm meant to be on this planet to be a musician, and I'll do whatever it takes. But I think, yeah, just finally just sitting down and being like, right, this is who I am. Like no imposter syndrome, just do my job and do what everyone wants me to do. And coincidentally, it's just speak my mind.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy how it works, man.
Yeah, but it's, as you said, completely natural, particularly in the extreme metal scene, in the UK scene as well. It feels like it feels really strong. And at the moment, in the last couple of years, even though it's not often talked about in, say, the bigger sort of circles, as a major player in that scene, do you find it's competitive, or is it all like one big nasty family?
I think there's a definite gap between the people who see it as a competition and the people who know it's business. And all the bands that we tour with and the bands that we work with, you'll notice if you've ever seen our tours or the people that we have, for example, guesting on each of his records, you'll find like Ingested's a great one. I've done a guest vocal for Ingested. I've done 2 guest vocals, one for Osiah and one for Wrath of Achilles, which is one of my side projects. And coincidentally, ourselves and Ingested are all about just helping each other just get to wherever you want to be. And, you'll find that, people will drag you up with them. You know what I mean? And the people who want to drag you down will be down there trying to drag down the same people. And then they'll get to, not saying like ourselves, but, if they try to drag us down, we're kind of like, hey, man, yeah. You know what I mean? Like we've done that 10 years ago. We've been through all that stuff, man. Like, oh yeah, like there's only one way to do this, and that's to like be friends and just to be business professionals and just work for the best outcome. Because like, apologies for speaking so much on this as well, my dude. Like I will talk the back legs of a donkey, but the elitist scene that occurred in deathcore literally destroyed the music industry in our local area. Like the divide between death metal and deathcore and hardcore and beatdown and gent and doom and all that, everyone was all, deathcore took a huge rap for being like, people just hated it for no reason, man. And what they didn't realize was that they were literally killing their own scene. Like, if a band starts doing well and starts putting the name on the map, it's just going to bring other bands to that area. And it's going to end as soon as you get bands trying to stab other bands in the back. You're stabbing yourselves. Like, just focus on, I think that's the one. I think kind of maybe when you're starting out, or, you don't quite understand like what message you want to be providing and stuff like that, you do kind of just feel like you're against it by yourself. Yeah. And I think once you've had a few years under your belt, you realize that, the music industry in a whole is an industry. And it's not one band or one guy conquering it. It's everyone working together to maximize the business. And you'll not get it by being,
there's no one. We're not a pyramid. I know what you're saying. We're not a pyramid. There's not one guy at the top stamping in everyone's fingers. It's layers.
There's plenty of room up there. You just got to get up there.
That's the thing. Look at the state of it now. The giants of the scene.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, I remember it's a great opportunity to talk about Black Tongue Black Tongue were huge at one moment, and then there was just so much hate for them. And it's just like, why? They're doing awesome, like, and they're going to bring some awesome bands over here for support, and they're going to go over to like Americas and stuff like that. And then people are going to be like, oh, the UK has decent bands.
Yeah.
And then people will listen to more UK bands, and then we'll all do more. But instead, it was just like, oh, you're too like obsessed with your own hurt that you feel like you need to, and then, like, hey man, like, music's, artistic direction in itself, and we all have our own way of pushing it out there. But I think once you separate that essence of it and then just start focusing on being like, right, if I want to be a business and I want to do this full time, we have to work like this is a full-time job.
Yeah.
And you don't spend 9 to 5 slagging people off. You spend 9 to 5 hustling. And I'm very passionate about that, man. I'm very, very passionate about that, man.
No, it's fantastic to hear. I share your passion as well on that. And like, it gets into labels and things like that, where we have to attach them to every band in some way, just to identify. But do you think labels like deathcore and brutal death metal simplify what Osiah are?
Yeah, but I don't see it as a negative, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think, we would just like to be called a metal band or a death metal band, but that's not.
That's not how it works.
It's not, mate. Maybe like, when Suicide Silence came out with like Deconstruction of a Statue, or Destruction of a Statue, when they had that drummer with the funny mask on, and Ultra Perish released Deconstruction, and Whitechapel were coming out with like the Somatic Defilement, and it was just deathcore, and that was fine. And then you had bands like start adding black metal elements and like down tempo and slam and stuff like that. And then eventually people were like, oh, it's slam and deathcore, it's black. And then that was like, what, 8-9 years ago when that started. And now we're like, Jesus Christ, like experimental fusion, death metal, black and hardcore, you know what I mean? But you can't just be like metal.
No.
Because then there's so much clientele of people who like one thing. I mean, like, I'm guilty of it myself. If I'm off to the gym, I'll go on Spotify and search slam and deathcore because I want to hear the beatdowns, I want to hear the slams and stuff like that. But if I just put in deathcore, I could be bloody listening to the gentcore, and it's not the vibe I want. You know what I mean? So for like labels and stuff like that, they're obviously just trying to cater to a specific market, and people will make their own decision if they want to dip into that as well. Like, we, not to go on too much of a tangent, but we toured with Cattle Decapitation, who you would never imagine in a million years would have a deathcore band supporting them. But we brought out all the heavy stuff. We brought out all the like super fast blast beat stuff. You know what I mean? Try to like keep away from the down tempo and stuff like that. And then people in the audience loved it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm not really into deathcore, but he's a very death metal. And this is like, yep, I hope you try and listen to more, buddy. There's some great deathcore bands out there, you know what I mean? And it's like that one little like moment of just giving it a chance. Just give it a chance, man.
You'll have done it yourself in the past. I know I have, where I've judged a set of a style of music and then eventually found for me it was post-hardcore, where I was like, nope, staying away from that. And then I eventually had a band, and now I love that style of music.
Yeah, for me as well. I think it just reflects times in my life as well. I used to love specific music just because of the message.
Yep.
And then like, I would listen to like straight edge hardcore and stuff like that. And obviously I was straight edge and hardcore dancing and all that stuff. And then after that, I got into like friends who were skaters and stuff like that. And they'd all listen to pop punk. And I was like, oh, I'm not listening to pop punk, man. And they were like, no, man, listen to it. And then it's just like, yeah, I do want to drink a beer with you in the sun. And I do want to like listen to pop punk. You know what I mean? And then that opens the gate. And then it's just, yeah, dude, I'm 36 this year. So I've had plenty of time to mull over like the music that I love and what I don't like. And, I pretty much just like everything now, dude. I just struggle with country and ska. Country and ska. I can't just respect to it. But not for me. It just, something just doesn't work for me with it, buddy.
Yeah, well, I think we pretty much followed similar paths. We're the same age for starters, so I'm a kid of the new metal years as well, and stuff like that.
Yes, man. So that was a great period. Yes, that was man. like seeing people like Slipknot knock people off the charts was just like, oh my God, there's actually a lot of us. You know what I mean? Because we always got told we were alone and there wasn't many alternative and we were the outcasts of society. Then when you start knocking Christina Aguilera or something off the top 10s, you're like, all right.
Yeah, I remember.
All right, we need
number one.
we need a Christmas number one. That's that metal song, you know what I mean? And then Rage Against the Machine happened, which was enough. It was just like, yeah, like, okay, now we need to get Despised Icon as a number, because, you know, not maybe to that extreme, but it's just like it's been nice, man. That I think because there's so much market for it, it's opened up and it's allowed more people to come in. And yeah, so respect to the earlier bands that made that happen. Even if they weren't death metal or deathcore, man, the alternative scene made it happen.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, and going back to you guys, we've gone off on a way tangent here about music.
I apologize, bro. It's going to happen.
No, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. But I want to know about you guys. What's helping you stay grounded? Because you've had a great run of releases. You're working with Unique Leader, a label that is right up your street, perfect for them. And Loss, I mean, Loss is going to blow up, people. If you haven't, when it comes out, take my word for it, it's going to blow up. How do you guys stay grounded?
It's just who we are, man.
Yeah.
Like, we're all just working class Northerners, man. You know what I mean? We're just a bunch of hairy ass gadgets just writing music, dude. You know what I mean? And if people like it, then we love it. Like, I'm every day in our WhatsApp group, one of us is just like, oh, I've seen someone talk about us. It's just like, yeah. And it's just like, we still react like that constantly, like seeing if someone wears a shirt or if they've got like, you know, a sticker of Osiah on the back of the phone and stuff like that. We still like lose our mind that people would just, you know, care about it, you know. And I don't know.
Have you had a rockstar moment?
Nah.
Right. That's
no.
That's got to come in the future then.
I think I have in different scenarios, but it wasn't like a rock star moment. It was just like, I used to work in the tribute scene, and it's quite a toxic industry to be in. You know, you're playing music to like 50, 60-year-old women and stuff like that who don't know the boundaries and stuff like that. And you know, and at that point, that would probably be my only rock star moment, when I was doing that stuff, when I was like, please don't like touch us, like don't grab us like this and all that stuff. And then when I would go back to the metal industry and play metal shows, there was nothing but respect and love. Like no one would ever dream of, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. That's crazy. I mean, when I said the rockstar moment, I didn't even necessarily mean in the you're being a bit of a knob kind of thing. I meant more I meant more in the sense where you've stood there and gone, shit, we're somebody.
Okay, I have. Yes. Okay. Then I will. In the same scenario, I was on my way to a tribute show and my phone started blowing up, and Unique Leader had announced that we'd signed to them like on the website and on Facebook and stuff like that. And I actually got out the van to have a little cry and I actually punched the air.
Yeah,
like
man.
we went to a services to pick up like some energy drink and some food for the gig, and I just walked away by myself, and I just like for 0.7 seconds I just like let it all out, and then I just went back to the van like nothing was up, you know, because you know I'm working in polarizing industries doing that, so I've got to like maintain focus. But like underneath it all, I was smiling like with my heart, man. Like it's difficult to describe, but there was a warmness of being like, wow, like they are investing in the product and the message, you know what I mean? And Kingdom of Lies in particular came with a storybook. I don't know if you ever saw the physical, but we had a lyric book and a storybook where I could delve more into the lyrics and, you know, get more of like my personal struggles into like text and stuff for other people to read and stuff like that. And you know, when Unique Leader are like, okay, we'll put money into this and we'll get it out for you. It's just like, wow, this is happening. This is really happening, you know. And
you were on that roster. I mean, you knew beforehand you were joining an incredible company. So it's kind of like there's no good reason beyond the fact that you're great for them to go, okay, well, we need to add you guys to that as well. So clearly you're doing something right.
Yeah, I mean, this comes, slightly back to some sort of imposter syndrome and stuff like that with writing lyrics, of being like, oh, I don't want to be cringy, I don't want to write this. And then it's just like, bro, man, like, that's anxiety talking, man. Like, if anything in your mind ever starts with what if, That's not your brain talking, because that's anxiety. You know, rational thought never starts with a what if. It always starts with this is.
I like that.
You know,
I've never heard that said before. That's really cool.
no, that's nice, man. Yeah, it's yeah.
Difficult thing then for modern bands, and it seems to be a kind of 50-50 on how people enjoy this. Social media from the band perspective and the demand for constant content, likes, follows, and the scope they look to release. How do you guys handle it? Do you enjoy it?
This is Andy's current battle.
Right.
Andy is in every interview, man. Like, if he hears this again, like, I honestly can't put into words like how much Andy does in this band.
Yeah.
You know, he produces, leads, co-manages. He's now started like online course to do like social media marketing, so he knows how to do this better, which obviously leaves me to focus on all the other stuff, you know, keeping the focus on the stuff he does as well. And I'm terrible at social media. I used to love it. I used to be addicted to it. I used to like run like bots on Instagram and stuff like that, and have like thousands of people comment on my pictures, and it was like a huge dopamine rush of being like, oh, people give a shit about me. And then like once you actually they don't. Like, it's just like algorithms and just people talking shit on social media. And then, you know, when you're in that space of being like, I can get so much good stuff from social media, and then you read a comment when it's just like, where's all the muscle gone from this band? You're like, oh, my heart, because obviously you've invested so much into like this like pain pleasure release of social media that it hits you like a million times harder.
Yeah.
And I'm now at that age where it's just like, oh well, nah. You know what I mean? If you like it, you'll buy it, you'll support it. If you don't like it, you don't have to listen to it, mate. You don't need to slag us off. You know what I mean? And if we were in the street and you were shouting shit at us, I wouldn't be listening to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
it wouldn't be on the street. That's the thing. It's all behind the keyboard, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean, the majority of it always is. But like, and you learn that in bands as well. Like when you end up sharing the stage together. And it's just like, oh, we had a little running in the past, and it's like, yeah, I know, bro, like, this is some stupid shit. And it's just like, yeah, I know, it's cool, man. And I was like, it's the age thing as again, mate, you know what I mean? I don't want to always pander on that like age equals experience, but you know, it's you do go through different paths through your life. I mean, like yourself, you can probably imagine, you know, like 10 years ago you had a specific path you were wanting to follow and do this, and you would do whatever, and then you hit a certain point in your age where it's like, okay, I've got to take this path now and take that. And then when you see someone who's, you know, in kind of a similar place to you were like at a younger age, you're not kind of looking down on it, but you're like, I can understand it, man. I can relate to it more. So if you talk shit about us on social media, if you do anything like that, it's just like, hey, bro, like, you might just be hurting. You don't mean it. Like,
yeah, and you're right. It's all about different paths, isn't it? It's all about going in a direction. You'll learn. Everyone learns as they go along. You'll make mistakes.
Yes, man. Yes, 100%.
Absolutely.
100%.
All right, last one before you go then. So we've already established you can't wait to get out live, and you've got shows in the future, a couple of dotted around as well at the end of the year. And if you're living where I am, London, December 16th at the New Cross Inn, that is going to
do this research. Yes, man.
Disgusting, that show, man. But question I wanted to ask you, crowds, do you think, right, when we're able to go back to full venues, as it were, and all that, do you think crowds are going to come rushing back, or do you reckon it'll be a little bit slow?
I think it'll be about 60-70%, personally.
Even in our world, the metal world.
Yeah,
yeah,
I do. Even in the, once again, being in a different business perspective, even in the tattoo industry, I've got people being like, hey man, I'm meant to be in next week, but and I'm like, you don't feel safe. And it's like, yeah, it's like, no worries, mate, we'll just push it back a couple of months if you need it, and just let us know when you're ready. And that, like, dude, a lot of people in this alternative scene, you know, have, you know, a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of, you know, a little bit of that. You know, all of us have a little bit of that. You know, some of us don't, but a lot of us do. You know, and if people wanted to take the time coming back to live shows, and we were playing at half-empty rooms, I would be totally fine with that, and I would just be really appreciative of the people who came out, and the ones who were too frightened to or whatever. Take your time, man. Just do whatever it takes to reintegrate. Because, man, Like, I remember being a loser kid who listened to metal and no one, you know what I mean? You spend a lot of time in your bedroom, and it's just like, well, one day you're going to have to find friends and a girlfriend and get a job and stuff like that. And it takes your time, man, because you're battling your mental health and you're doing all this and the other. And it's not quite to the same extent, but, you know, when you've been homebound for a year and, you know, worrying about it's very similar if I try and think back to what it's going to be like re-emerging into society and being confident with it. So to anyone who hears this, who's a little bit worried about it, man, just take your time. Like, we're not going anywhere either. Like, the bands aren't going anywhere. We'll always be playing. We'll always be pushing for our dream and stuff like that. So if not this time, we'll catch you next time, man. You know?
Beautiful, beautiful words, man. And of course, Lost, 7th of May, Unique Leader. Go check this out. Ricky, thank you so much, man, for taking the time to do this.
Thank you, bro. It's been a pleasure.
No worries.
Much, man.
Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?